Hello and welcome to Creature Club, the show where we talk about monsters and such in the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition monster manual. I am Mikey, and with me, as usual, is Daniel White over here.
Hello.
Our good friend Tim cannot join us because he is doing a bunch of things and just is over in America now, getting married. Let's have a little round of applause for our Tim boy for getting married. Very gently. I don't want to peak the audio there, but a nice little golf clap. Our Tim boy got married. Congratulations to him. Hopefully we'll get him back soon, but he's just trying to work out the kinks of being in a new country, so let's give him some time. How are you doing, Daniel? How's your day going?
My day's alright. It was a nice day, I guess. It rained when I was coming home, but that's fine because I don't mind a bit of rain. So yeah, I'm good. I'm surviving.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
Very much the same. Yep, just did a bit of work and got some coffee, and that's really it. It was raining as well for me because I'm in the same area as you.
It's true. It's all true.
The Force, everything. Today we're going to go back. It's been a while since we did a Creature Club episode where we talk about a creature. So we're just going to plod along with the show, and we're going to do the Darkmantle. Daniel, what does the Darkmantle look like for our listeners at home?
It sort of looks like a squid, but sort of like a... It looks like a squid combined with an umbrella.
Yeah, actually, that's...
Is that good?
Very much so, yeah. If you can picture like a squid head and kind of like an umbrella body where... Because if you can kind of picture this is the Darkmantle, we'll get into it a little bit more, but the premise of the Darkmantle and kind of its gimmick is that it clings to like cavern ceilings, and it looks like the rocky ceiling, and he falls on you and kind of like eats you or something, or like envelops his entire squiddy umbrella-like body on you, which is actually, Daniel, my worst fear ever in life.
Really?
Is for like an octopus or a squid to like jump on my head and just kind of go to town on me. But I know they don't do that.
Because of Alien, I presume?
Maybe, yeah. Actually, it could be that, but just...
Because I don't think actual squid and octopus...
They don't do that, no. But if like one went on my head and was just squirming around, and that's kind of weird. So this Darkmantle is definitely my Creature Club pick of at least top 5 monsters I wouldn't want to like encounter in real life. So
yeah, like
dragons I'm fine, but this guy, no. At least with dragons you can talk to them and you can kind of maybe bargain with them, but this guy's
also that episode of Tom and Jerry where Jerry gets a like squid thing on his head.
Yeah, that's a bit of comedy though. That's fun.
Yeah, fair enough. I think it was kind of an existential crisis for Tom, but
yeah.
But I mean that's their problem.
Yeah, when's it not for Tom though?
Yeah, that's actually... Jeez. I think when you're an adult, you're just like, why can't you guys just get along?
Yeah, exactly.
You really got more in common than you got apart.
So the Darkmantle's like that. We'll go in a little bit onto what says here. Daniel, do you want to give it a little bit of a read there?
Sure. Do. Sorry, I was reading lots of different sources.
That's all right.
Now I will return to the Bible.
Yeah.
Our Bible.
Our Bible. Our
actual Bible.
The 5th edition monster manual.
Okay, so the Darkmantle. A Darkmantle clings to cavern ceilings, remaining perfectly still as it waits for creatures to pass beneath it. From a distance, it can pass itself off as a stalactite or a lump of stone. Then it drops from the ceiling and unfurls, surrounding itself with magical darkness as it engulfs and crushes its prey. Darkmantles are found throughout the Underdark, but they are equally common on the Shadowfell. Man, you shouldn't put Underdark and Shadowfell in the same sentence because people will start to realize how stupid they both sound.
Wait, they're not the same place?
They are discrete places.
Oh man.
Thriving in that dark realms you just listed too. They fill an ecological niche similar to bats in the material plane. Intelligent creatures of the Shadowfell sometimes train Darkmantles as guardians or companions. So yeah, sorry, DC. The Underdark is the bad underground place.
Yeah.
The Shadowfell is the bad shadow place. Sorry, yeah. Let me actually explain it in a way that makes more sense. The Underdark is sort of like basically like an infinite cave system, but the Shadowfell is basically the upside down from Stranger Things, like sort of a deliberately like inverted version of our own world, but everything's all shadowy and bad.
Right. Okay. Because I always kind of thought I always did the Underdark like the Shadowfell, which was that what it's like in like 4th edition, where they kind of put them both into the same thing when they're doing up the lore again or something. Did they kind of make them both similar?
I actually don't know. When I played in 4th edition, our games never transcended the material plane, so I don't know.
Yeah, same here. I don't really go with that too much of the lore that's already with it. I kind of like to homebrew most of my setting, and I play in mainly homebrew settings as well, like with other people's settings. So, yeah. But whatever. That's that.
Yeah, I know at least from the 5th edition books that the Underdark is the bad cave system, and the Shadowfell is the bad shadow dimension.
Yeah. I feel like you do need a bad dark place for if you want to have a D&D game, because you want to go with what's in the player's handbook, and there's drow and whatever. Yeah, it's cool to have a Underdark, I think. So
yeah, I mean, like I think the classic argument is that like you should certainly have a place for everything in the player's handbook, and then try to figure out a place for everything else as well.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't suit, then just that's when you start to cut.
Yeah.
So maybe you don't have a Shadowfell or an Underdark, but that doesn't matter, because you can just put these guys in normal caves too, because they're just cave predators, basically.
Yeah, they're just monsters. They're just like they're just waiting for animals to just pop up, and then they just attack them. So
yeah, will we touch on their D&D history very briefly?
Yeah, go for it.
Just because it won't take very long.
Yeah.
They were first described in the 3rd edition of the game in the first monster manual. And then they were described again in the 3.5 manual, and then they were kind of expanded upon in Dragon Magazine number 275, which just as sort of like I mentioned before, I don't know if you remember when I talked about the Ankeg DC, and I talked about the ecology of the Ankeg.
Oh yeah,
it was an old article. It's a kind of a similar idea. It's an ecology article, so it sort of takes the idea of approaching them almost as a study rather than kind of as a monster.
Oh yeah.
So it teaches you things about them and stuff like that. It's relatively interesting. It's got some cool, like what I like about it. It tells like kind of a story, and then it touches it with keynotes, and the keynotes kind of explain like facts about the creature. So, for example, it says, Darkmantles start as herbivores because they're so small they can't prey on any creatures yet.
Yeah.
And just stuff like that. It just like does some kind of basic kind of ecological information, which is kind of interesting. And then it talks about sort of their life cycle, like what they look like, how, like whether they're like eggs or spores or whatever, and then what they look like, and more kind of in detail pictures. Like it describes how they have like kind of like barbed tentacles to make them better at grabbing people, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So like it's interesting.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool. I only really see it useful as like if you're playing like a druid character and you want to do a little bit of showing off in your role playing, and you just kind of say that stuff, and or like some sort of like nature enthusiast, and you're like, oh well, I know about these guys. They have blah 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 and this and they start out as herbivores, and like that's just for role playing reasons, really. Not really. It doesn't really enhance the game too much, but it might for role playing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main reason that I'd find it useful is if I wanted to like invert it in some way, or kind of play with it, or just understand better. But overall, especially for a creature like the Darkmantle, who's kind of low level and not necessarily very exciting, I wouldn't necessarily devote that much time to them. But still, it's useful.
It is. It's cool.
And it's there if anyone's interested. A lot of the older editions of Dragon Magazine can be found for free online in various archives. So it's very straightforward to read that article if you're just interested in the creature.
And there's a lot of cool stuff in Dragon Magazine. Actually, Daniel just happened to find an Age of Steam article, which has a lot of cool stuff in it that I want to actually read, because I have like a steampunk influence setting that I'm working on, and it's actually very cool stuff in there. So
it actually, like, I was really impressed. And it even had, like, a few pages later, it talked about, like, D&D in a modern setting, and it had, like, a piece of art drawn of, like, you know, like a modern fighter jet, like, confronting a fire-breathing dragon, and I was just like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, that's just a set piece in itself, you know. Take
like, that's so very good. Like, but yeah. Anyway, so Dragon Magazine, a lot of the old issues are great, and even if you go check out 275, just because I mentioned it, and then find there's much more interesting things on it than the Darkmantle, which wouldn't surprise me because there's lots of cool stuff listed here. But yeah. They're great. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Got to start talking about that.
That's all right. That's what the show's about. They show up in 4th edition, but it's kind of similar stuff. There's only one of him so far, or not so far, like ever, in the Monster Manual 2, but he pretty much has the same lore and the same abilities, but a couple of more 4th edition abilities in there as well.
Yeah.
But we'll, like, the rest of the stuff is very 5th edition stuff, so we'll get into that. But that's really it. He's in 4th and then 5th edition, which we will talk about now. There's the quote, which actually I love, because it probably what I would say if I was a D&D character fighting a Darkmantle. Remind me again why we're on this quest.
It's very real.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, by S. Heraldus the Fighter after his first Darkmantle encounter. So yeah, I like that quote. Shall we meat and potatoes?
Yes.
All right, meat and potatoes time. Doodle-doodle-doo. Doodle-doodle-doo. Let's go. Hello, welcome to Meat and Potatoes time. Also,
with Mario, with special guest Mario.
Yeah, with special guest Super Mario 64, the character from the game Super Mario 64.
There's actually, there's actually a really great. I've been playing Mario Odyssey recently. There's a really great touch where you go back to the Mushroom Kingdom at one stage, and like in the rest of the game, you get power moons, but in the Mushroom Kingdom, the power moons are power stars, like in 64. And it plays the Mario 64 "You Got a Star" theme whenever you get a star, instead of the normal Power Moon theme.
Oh man, that's good. That's
great. A really great touch.
That's a very I love that sound, because it's just it's very Pavlovian. Once I get it, I'm just like,
I know, yeah.
Oh, I love that noise.
What is it again? It's like
let's go, and it flies away, or like that. Or the getting that. I think that's one of the piers, maybe, or something.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. The noise it makes when like it falls out of a boss or whatever.
Yeah. But, I love that noise. But
what's the show about again?
I forgot. Do we just talk about Super Mario 64 and the other 3D Mario games?
I think that's all we do.
Wow. I think this is the most tangential Creature Co episode ever. But good thing this is a small snap block. But yeah, so the Darkmantle, he is a small monstrosity, unaligned. Once again, as we say, unaligned is kind of something that you give to the monstrous beast-like creatures that, don't really have much of a moral code. They're just beasts. They're out for themselves, whatever. They don't fight for any force. Armor class, 11. Hit points, 22. Speed, 10 feet. And a fly of 30 feet. So I didn't actually know they can fly. I thought they just fell on you and that's it. That actually makes them a lot more terrifying, seeing one of those fly at you. I honestly don't want to fight against one of these guys, even though they're pretty weak. I would run away like a baby. Strength 16, Dex 12, Constitution 13, Intelligence 2, Wisdom 10, Charisma 5. So pretty standard stuff for like a animal kind of monster.
Kind of like just sort of like typical, like slightly monstrous enemy stats. Like has a really significant strength score, so like stronger than any normal person would be by all accounts. Like outside of obviously heroes.
Yeah, and it would make sense to why they are like they have evolved to like attack humans and just people in general by just falling on them, because the regular person who walks through, they'll easily just eat them and just drop on their face. But an adventurer, they can push you off and attack you. But if your strength was just 10, then you would get eaten by this guy, no problem.
Yeah, exactly. Skills, stealth +3, so they're trained in stealth. Senses, blind sight of 60 feet and passive perception of 10, so 10 because no wisdom mod and no training. They don't speak any languages, unsurprisingly, and they have a challenge rating of 1/2, which means that 2 of them would make an appropriate encounter for a first level party, which would be 4 level 1 adventurers.
Yeah, a first level party of 4 adventurers. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It's got echolocation. The Darkmantle can't use its blind sight while deafened. Okay, so there we go.
So that's kind of their way of explaining that the blind sight is more like kind of a sonar rule than it is a
magical.
Than it is like a magical ability, exactly.
Yeah. False appearance. While the Darkmantle remains motionless, it is indistinguishable from a cave formation such as a stalactite or stalagmite. Not a column, though. Not a column. That makes sense. Its stealth is high, and its thing is that he's a trap guy, which we'll go into a bit more later in the dessert. But yeah, you want to be able to not see him, because if you did spot him, if you'd easily spot him, then it wouldn't be a fun encounter. So, all right, its actions. Let's hear its actions, Daniel.
It has 2 actions, and but they're both pretty long, actually, although all in the name of making sense. Crush. Melee weapon attack, +5 to hit, reach 5 feet, 1 creature. Hit, 1d6 +3 bludgeoning damage, and the Darkmantle attaches to the target. If the target is medium or smaller and the Darkmantle has advantage on the attack roll, it attaches by engulfing the target's head, and the target is also blinded and unable to breathe while the Darkmantle is attached in this way. While attached to the target, the Darkmantle can can attack no other creature except the target, but has advantage on its attack rolls. The Darkmantle's speed also becomes 0. It can't benefit from any bonus to speed, and it moves with the target. A creature can detach the Darkmantle by making a successful DC 13 strength check as an action. On its turn, the Darkmantle can detach itself from the target by using 5 feet of movement.
Okay, yeah.
So
that's it.
It can land on you and stick to your head.
Yep.
Very long. Sorry.
No, I was going to continue on, so go for it. What are you saying?
Oh, okay, apologies. Darkness Aura. Once a day, a 15-foot radius of magical darkness extends out from the Darkmantle, moves with it, and spreads around corners.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know why that really tickled me. I just think the fact that it specifies that it comes around corners. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about the idea that you're just it's just around a corner and you've no idea what's going on, and then suddenly you just I don't know, does it take time to spread, or is it just instantly you can't fucking see anything?
Yeah.
You're what is happening?
All right, why is it dark?
And why isn't
that corner? Why is there darkness?
And why isn't Branthony the fighter saying anything?
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
the darkness lasts as long as the Darkmantle maintains concentration, up to 10 minutes, as if concentrating on a spell. Is that the rule? You can concentrate on a 10-minute spell? Oh, never mind.
No, it depends on the spell, basically.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's fine. So it's this spell is a 10-minute long one. Never mind. Okay, so dark vision can't penetrate this darkness, and no natural light can illuminate it. If any of the darkness overlaps with the area of light created by a spell of 2nd level or lower, the spell creating light is dispelled. So it works pretty much as a darkness spell that
exactly
you can do yourself, or someone else can do. It's a typical magical darkness spell that he's doing there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in previous editions of the game, in 3rd edition and in Pathfinder, it basically just can cast darkness. But obviously the idea is that in 5th edition they like to separate it out a bit and explain that it's because it's an inherent ability, they're not making it the darkness spell, which also means it might interact differently in some ways.
Hey, the 4th edition one can teleport. That's pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah.
That is cool.
He has a dark jump. I'll just say this one real quick. It's called Dark Jump, which is
a Sith Lord.
which is a great name for an ability, I think. Just
Yeah,
my quirk is Dark Jump. The Darkmantle enveloper teleports 6 squares, which is, I think square is literally squares when you're looking at the map, to a space
So 30 feet.
30 feet, yes.
In
that is
in 5th edition terminology.
that is in darkness or illuminated by dim light. The enveloper becomes invisible, and its shadowy field, just think of the darkness, is deactivated until the start of its next turn. So yeah, that's kind of cool. It can just teleport in its darkness, I think it's what it's saying there. But that's 4th edition though. But we won't use that right now.
And yeah, the only thing I was going to say is the crush ability is actually really weirdly worded. So the reason it specifies that it attaches to you is because in 5th edition there's rules about grappling smaller and larger creatures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like you don't get grappled by the Darkmantle, it attaches to you.
Yeah.
But like what's weird, right, is it says, while attached to the target, the Darkmantle can attack no other creature except the target, but has advantage on its attack rolls. The Darkmantle's speed also becomes 0. It can benefit from any bonus to speed, and it moves with the target. So basically, like, it's as if you're grappling it, but it's stuck itself to you.
Yeah.
But the weird part is, it says its speed becomes 0, and then later on it says, on its turn, the Darkmantle can detach itself from the target by using 5 feet of movement. If your speed is 0, do you still have feet of movement?
Yeah,
I guess you do.
It should
otherwise.
Yeah, it should just say like it can detach you using a disengage action. That might be a bit better, because that is just using 5. No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm thinking of like 5 foot step in like
You are
Pathfinder.
thinking of 5 foot step.
Yeah, that's weird. It should have
Like,
put that.
or like the shifting in 4th edition.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's a very weird way of putting it. Yeah.
It is. I think what they're saying is that basically the feet of movement you have as a resource in your speed, I guess, are 2 different fields.
Yeah,
which is a weird thought.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah, it should say you can detach yourself, but you can only go 5 foot. I guess
it's weird. It's weird that it says you detach yourself using 5 feet of movement. It seems like what really strikes me about this creature is that seems very bitty, like it uses 5 feet of movement to detach from someone, which means that now it has 25 feet of movement instead of 30 feet of movement. But does that matter? Because every party member, with the exception of the dwarf and the halflings, and maybe the gnomes, I don't know, can move 30 feet anyway. So like, if it can move 30 feet, they can still catch it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, honestly, it's just like, I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, you know, like, as in, if that sentence could just not be there, and
Yeah.
it could just be like, the Darkmantle can detach as a free action, and it's like, cool. Like,
Yeah, I don't see it having to, because I can kind of picture detaching off your head and just flying away or kind of crawling away.
yeah, basically.
It can only move 10 feet on the ground anyway, so you don't really need to.
Yeah,
like,
so it's always going to try to fly if it can help it.
yeah, it's kind
So
of
then,
it is very strange that put it there. Shall we talk about it a little bit more in the next section of the podcast Creature Club, starring Mikey and Daniel?
yes.
Yes. Roll the music.
Play the Super Mario theme this time.
I'm pretty sure.
Play Dry Docks.
I'm pretty sure Shigeru Miyamoto will come to my house and beat me up for a second time, because I think we've already mentioned that he would do that before.
Shigeru Miyamoto used to smoke, and I just think that's so weird.
Yeah, we're talking about this, but I think
We did, yeah.
I think a lot of like Japanese kind of workers do that. That's
Yeah,
kind
I
of a
can
thing
believe that. Yeah,
you-
just like productivity. Yeah,
yeah.
I can see that. I can totally see that.
So, but it is weird. Shigeru Miyamoto kind of seems like your dad almost. You know.
Shigeru Miyamoto is literally your uncle from Nintendo.
Yeah, he
Like,
is.
except for the world. Like,
Once again, we're just talking about Nintendo properties in
talking shite.
Yeah, talking shite. The podcast.
The podcast.
Right. So we fought against these guys before once.
We did.
Tim's game.
Correct.
And all I remember is that it did the Darkmantle thing of falling on our head and attacking us. And it was a bit of a... That's when I thought they were terrifying, when they did that. But remember when we were talking about the Crawling Claw and the Cockatrice, that they're kind of insignificant, but they're good trap monsters?
Yeah.
I feel like this is like the most trap monster ever. You kind of... maybe not ever, but that's a bit of hyperbole there, but it's the most trap monster ever. Full stop. No, but he's...
Top 10 trap monsters.
Yeah.
Number 1 will surprise you.
Number 1 will surprise you. It's a Darkmantle. It's Darkmantle. Oh, shit.
Damn.
I didn't see that coming. But yeah, no, he's got one thing. He does one thing, and he drops on you from in a cavern. That's kind of just a trap. Like, it's a fun trap. It can kind of really... It can be for like a player who's only playing for the first time, and this thing falling on their head, they're like, whoa, what the hell's that? That's weird, but that's all you can do. It's not going to be like a super tactical like encounter where you have to think about how to fight these, because it's kind of easy. You just, if they go on your head, then just get them off your head and then attack them, and they only have like 22 health, so whatever.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, they don't have the thing that and this kind of surprised me, they don't have the ability the Rug of Smothering has, where if they're grabbing someone, that the attacks against it also have a chance of hurting them.
Yeah, that's weird.
Instead,
the damage
even
transfer
if it's on someone. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't have any kind of damage transfer. It's just like, even if it's grabbing someone, you can just beat the shit out of it.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's have a look at this Rug of Smothering for a second. What is it's like? Sure. I'm just looking at the CR and stuff.
I think it might be CR2.
You are very much right, Daniel. It's CR2. So
yes.
I guess it's because of the damage transfer.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I suppose the idea is like, I think you're supposed to fight a lot of Darkmantles at once as part of a complicated fight.
Yeah, like I guess you can picture them huddling together in one section of a cave, and they would drop on you one by one, because they probably have like a family or a school or
yeah,
like they hunt in packs or something. But
they hunt in packs.
But you wouldn't picture like a rug having a
rug hunting in packs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here we see the Rug of Smothering hunting as a pack. The buffalo do not stand a chance.
They just the rugs out in the open.
Yeah, just like sprinting across the plain.
Yeah, or there's a bunch of rugs just kind of hung up on like some trees and like the Serengeti, like.
Yeah, it's like all the images of like leopards up the trees, but it's just rugs and like someone comes out with a big stick and beats them.
Yeah, and there's like a gazelle, and then the rug just like suffocates it, like it's like a really nice rug. That's kind of strange. You would picture this thing would have a damage transfer, because if your Grog the half-orc barbarian attacks your wizard who just got attacked with this Darkmantle, and there's a Darkmantle on his head, if Grog attacks him with his big greatsword and hits it, he would hit the wizard because its head is there as well, and that would probably hurt it as well. That's what I think about it, but yeah, it's funny, yeah, but that's they probably kind of knew what they were doing with this, but I like to think so. I hope so.
I mean, I think it's because of the fact that it is a lower CR monster. So I think the idea is that, like, you'd fight like a pack of Darkmantle. I feel like there's something like one of the like tutorial dungeons for 5th edition, or one of the low level dungeons you do at the start of the game, has a fight in a cave. And like it mentions how like above an area in the cave there's a Darkmantle like just waiting, and like it will attack the party, but like it's not just on its own, it's in a room where you'll be fighting like some goblins or like some hobgoblins or something. And that seems like kind of a cool fit where it acts as a monster who attacks on another front.
Yeah.
And and it's a great monster for that because it's got a really low AC. It's not got any really useful saves. It basically just gets to surprise the party and then start dealing actually relatively small amounts of damage, 6 damage a turn, like D6 plus 3, so average 6, but like might just do very little. Might even just miss if it targets the wrong person because it's only got plus 5 to hit.
It would add a very fun chaos factor to a encounter in a dungeon or a cavern or like in game design talk, a dungeon, but no, it hasn't that be a dungeon. But if you're just like, you go in there, you see a bunch of like you see a hobgoblin there standing in the back, and there's a bunch of goblins around him, and you're like, and your party's like, all right, we're gonna fight these guys. These guys are the enemies right now, and they go in there, and then like you notice that the Darkmantles just fall and start attacking you, and yet you haven't even. They haven't been established at all. They just get the surprise on you. That just adds a bit of a chaos to the encounter.
I know what you mean.
A little bit of fun, with that as well. So adding them into adding them into another fight is cool. I wouldn't picture fighting them by themselves though too much because they're kind of a one trick pony. So
I'd agree. I think they can. One thing I thought was really interesting was there was I read an article that talked about the idea of like different ways you can use fights, and like they say like one of the way you like if you want to have like fights that are kind of like if you have a fight that is easy, like for example, I think if the party encountered like a single Darkmantle, they'd probably just beat the hell out of it and then move on. Like one of the reasons you might use the Darkmantle for that is as kind of a way to set the tone. Like, so you might have it so that you find maybe a body or something, and when you go to investigate, you get jumped by a Darkmantle, and it's because this guy was killed by a Darkmantle, maybe by multiple, and now there's only one left because the rest of them left to go find more food. And it's just a way to set the tone of what this area is like, and it's almost like a way of saying to the party, oh, you might find more Darkmantles down here, so just be careful. But like it's that classic idea of giving them the thing in a safe environment and then later on adding it to make new things spicy.
That's actually a great idea. That's a brilliant idea. Where you can your guys get attacked by one, they dispose of it, or they see it, as you said, on someone else, and then when they fight anything else after that, they might not think about it, but there might be one guy like, wait a second, I'm gonna look above us right now. Is there any Darkmantles in here?
Exactly.
And if they spot them, they feel smart, they feel great.
They do,
and that's really
absolutely
cool.
And that's great because it's just rewarding them for paying attention and thinking about the world they're in and everything.
Yeah, so that's very like using, because it's so easy in the DM chair to just kind of to throw these guys on your guy without establishing them in the first place at all, and just wanting to kill your players because you're DM. You kind of want that in your deep down. You want a little bit of
you do feed on the blood.
Yeah,
like,
you
gotta be honest with yourself.
Yes, but also you want to make a satisfying game and adventure and story for your players, and you just all want to have a good time. So doing this would make them feel like heroes, like the guys they're playing, and they'll feel rewarded.
And kind of like almost like, not just the sort of, oh, we can kill things with our big guns kind of heroes, but also like, oh, we're canny and, we're like kind of wise in a way that only experienced heroes are. Like, we know to look out for Darkmantles and stuff like that. And even that's a cool feel. Like, that's like Indiana Jones. Like, that's fucking rad.
Yeah, because if you go into a fight with goblins and hobgoblins in a cavern, the first thing you do, you don't really say, oh, I'm going to make a perception check because I'm in a fight. Because you would do that in any other room. You say, oh, make perception check, and then you look around and you see Darkmantles. But if you're in a fight, you just want to fight the guys. You don't want to do the perception checks. But if you happen to do one during a fight, then, or you just say, can my guy look up? And like, something strange looks there. Even though, the false appearance, that would stop that. But if you did a perception check or investigation check during the fight, there you go. Like, that's all I'm trying to say.
I mean, I suppose what I would say is if you want to like accommodate their false appearance, but also make it possible for the party to spot the Darkmantle, what I would do anyway is I would say, okay, they have a stealth score of +3, so I'm going to give them a passive stealth score, and that's going to be 10 + 3, which is their stealth modifier, so 13. And then because they have false appearance, I'll give them advantage, and statistically advantage adds up to about, I think, 4.5 or 5, depending on something. Some people say it's 4, some people say it's 5. I think it's whether you round up or down. So because I know it's a passive modifier, I would use the lower number. I'd use the 4 because I don't want to make it too high. So I'd say DC 17, which is tough to spot the Darkmantle when it hasn't done anything, right? So it is difficult, but it's not impossible.
Yeah.
And even a low level party can get lucky, and I would say that even looking for it is valuable. And to touch back on what I said initially about the idea, like you find one, a cool thing to do might be to like come up with some like weird, actually like what might be a really like obvious, or maybe this isn't obvious, I don't know, but like come up with kind of a tell that, you know, the party can identify places where there are Darkmantles.
Yeah.
So like you could either come up with a really clever reason. Off the top of my head, my reason would be like, okay, well, it's a cave. What do stalactites have different with Darkmantles? Well, Darkmantles move and stalactites don't. So like maybe you could say that like there's water in the cave and all the stalactites are wet because there's just been like water vapor, but the Darkmantles are less wet because they haven't been sitting still as long.
Yeah. Okay.
Just like, and it sounds kind of weird, but it is something you can, you know what I mean? Like figure it, or it could be something else. It could be something like really organic, like, oh, there's algae that grows on the stalactites, but it doesn't grow on the Darkmantles because they don't sit still long enough for them to grow.
Yeah. Actually, that's cool because it's
and so
it's indistinguishable of a stalactite or a stalagmite, but there's still things that you can kind of. Wait, that's a bit weird. That's like that. I think I have a look closer at it. Like, oh, that's a monster. Shit. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like, what's cool is like, you know, if you kind of let all like, because what you could even do is you could not say any of this to your party, right? You could just have it that like you find the Darkmantle over the body, and then like, you know, the party start looking up, and you can just describe how like, oh, the stalactites have algae on them, and maybe let the party, depending on what kind of party they are, obviously. But let the party make that connection of, oh, hold on, the Darkmantles don't have algae on them because they're not sitting still long enough for it to grow on them.
yeah.
So if we look for the difficult to spot stalactites because they haven't got anything on them, then that's where the Darkmantles are. So that means they can pay attention, you know. And maybe it's a case of like, it's some of them are false flags, right? Like you could just say that like, every stalactite without algae has a 50% chance of being a Darkmantle. You can even just roll for it, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
But the benefit of all this is the point I'm trying to reach. The benefit of your party knowing a way to identify Darkmantles means that like I said, like they can add an element of chaos to a fight, but these are creatures with 2 intelligence. Like they are literally completely dumb animals.
Yeah.
So like they can fall on the enemy. And that's a great way for the party to use the environment.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the only reason why they would add chaos to a fight is that if your enemies are like, let's wait for the party, let's wait for the heroes to come into this room, we'll get the jump on them, then they won't know. We know there's these things up here, but they don't know they're in here. So hope that'll help us fight. But
yeah,
if the enemies, like the goblins and the hobgoblins, are fighting the heroes, then they can forget that there's Darkmantles in here, or exactly where they are, and they can fall on the enemies. So, like, that's cool.
Yeah, and as an inversion of that, there could actually be an opposite thing where the goblins or hobgoblins have this cave system really well mapped out, and there is like what appear to be obvious shortcuts that the goblins don't seem to use, and it's because they're populated by Darkmantles, and the goblins know, and maybe as an addition, there's even signs in Goblin that say like, don't bother, it's not worth your time.
Yeah.
So if the party speak Goblin or just kind of pay attention, they'll be like, oh, I don't know about this. But if they're kind of impatient and go, well, this is a shortcut, we'll get there faster, or like we'll get into a good position to jump that Goblin patrol we saw earlier. Yeah. Like now you get to sort of play with that.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that.
So yeah, I think they're a good fit in the ecology of a dungeon. I feel like both their abilities are cool. We haven't even talked about their darkness aura, actually.
Not too much, no. Yeah. I don't have too much to say on it. That's the thing, myself.
Yeah, like the thing about having an ability called darkness that makes it really dark and means that not even people with dark vision can see is that like it's just like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. And also you're like, why is it darkness in here? What's Like,
you can't fucking go on.
I was gonna say that you get rid of the surprise of the Darkmantle that way. You know, people just know if there's magical darkness, then your players will know there's something in there, and
Yeah.
and if you're going to use a Darkmantle, your players will probably be able to kill it like the second it goes on one of your guys' heads or something. Like he won't be able to get away into a darkness aura, you know. Which I think I think is kind of what they're trying to say here is that he goes in your head, he does darkness, and then he kills your guy so your other players don't try to get him off, you know. It's kind of a way of protecting him, you know.
Yeah, like I think the idea is that first round it ambushes you, it gets a surprise round because it's got the false appearance thing. So then it gets to attach to you because it has the crush thing that says that if it attacks with advantage, it gets to attach to you. So assuming it hits, which it's likely to because it's attacking with advantage, which is pretty good odds generally, especially against low level players.
Yeah.
So it hits you and lands on you, and then you would all, I think, roll for initiative after you've had a surprise round. And then I guess the question is whether the Darkmantle lives long enough to use its darkness aura, or whether the party get high enough initiative that they just beat it to death first.
Yeah.
Because even the person being grabbed can hit the Darkmantle.
Yeah, that's true. He just punches his own head.
Yeah, I'm going to punch my own head until this thing dies.
Yeah.
Like, the monk does the kick its own face move and hits the Darkmantle. I'm going to kick myself so hard in the face, or and then does a big spin.
Like a stop, drop, and roll or something to get him off. I had this idea of a Darkmantle, like a huge Darkmantle, because when we mentioned like dungeons and stuff, the first thing came to my head was like a Zelda like dungeon. Like, a bit of context of what's going on in my head. Dodongo's Cavern in Ocarina of Time is a very cool dungeon. It's the second dungeon in Ocarina of Time, and you have the small Dodongos, the baby ones. You have the kind of the medium sized ones, and then you have the King Dodongo, who's the boss, who's huge. And for some reason in my head, not for some reason, probably because of that reason, but I was thinking of these Darkmantles, and then kind of like the boss at the end, after you fight the goblins who are in there, some sort of large Darkmantle queen that's, I guess, could be similar to like some sort of rock kraken, maybe. That might be a cool idea.
Yep.
Just in the dungeon. Just because you're like, oh, there's these weird squid rock things in here. I wonder if there's a bigger one or something in here. It might be a bit of cool. I might do something like that, but that was going on in my head. Some sort of Zelda-esque boss where it's just a large version of the monsters you were fighting in the dungeon already. So that's my...
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty rad. I like the Queen Darkmantle as a contrast to King Dodongo.
Yeah, very much. Queen Darkmantle is a good name for an enemy.
It is, yeah.
It's like, imagine that coming up on the health bar in the bottom of the screen.
Oh no, it's frenzied. It's going to do all its big moves now.
Oh no, fucking curse damage.
Okay, so yeah, actually, let's talk about that a bit. We've got a big bad Darkmantle. It's the Queen of Darkmantles.
Yeah.
So
I don't see it being able to fall on your head and crush you because it's big.
It's too big.
It's too big, but maybe you can...
But you know what I'm thinking, DC?
What are you thinking?
Earlier you said that you were reading the false appearance part of the Darkmantle, and you said false appearance. While the Darkmantle remains motionless, it is indistinguishable from a K formation, such as a stalactite or a stalagmite. And you said, not a column, though.
Not a column,
So what if the massive tentacles of the Queen Darkmantle were indistinguishable from columns until you got
You walk
very
in
close.
and you're like, oh, this is just a place full of columns. And then you're just in the middle of what the hell? That's just a bunch of tentacles. Shit.
Oh, no.
And then, like, it uses darkness to just make the boss fight is crazy because it's dark and you're like, shit. And then maybe make sure that one of your players has some sort of light spell, because fighting anything in complete darkness is not really fun because you don't get to hit ever. But, you know.
Yeah, I'd say, like, avoid having boss fights where the boss is just like, you can't fucking see anything for the whole fight. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Because that's just... I mean...
But if they had some sort of, like, Frodo or, like, Sam-esque item where you can, like, light up the He has a little. What's the thing? What Frodo and Sam?
Oh,
had
the Star of Elendil.
Yes.
I think the Star of the Elven. I can't remember what it's called. It's a very important star thing though.
Yes. But something like an item, or make sure someone has a spell that can do it. Because
I mean, easy. If you want to make sure that they have it, just fucking steal from Zelda and just put the item in the dungeon.
yes. Ooh, I've always wanted to do that, but it's a little bit on the nose, you know. Like, why
Put
is
the item specific? Yeah, put the lantern of fuck darkness in the cave with the darkness. Boss.
and then you use the item to defeat the boss. I want to do that, but all my players are always like, "Why is that in here? What's the significance of this?" Whatever, you know.
It seems more like your players. You give them like a cool amulet that can summon a spirit tiger, and then they just forget about it.
They just forget about it.
And then, like, they're like, "Oh, maybe I'll do that now that we're fighting the final boss." It's like, it doesn't scale. It's the same tiger. It's going to be shit in this fight.
We'll give a bit of context to that. So I think like in like I like the fifth.
I want to say the third to fifth game.
Yeah, the third to
Very
fifth
early.
game out of 25 games altogether that we did of that campaign. The guys, the party with Daniel, Tim were in the party. They defeated this ancient spirit who had a tiger, and they were like, defeat me and I'll give you my power. And the guys defeated him, and then he was like, great, here's this amulet, it gives you some cool buffs, and with an action you can summon me and my tiger friend to fight by your side. And then that was cool back, you know, when you were leveled.
You were like second or third level.
Yeah,
I think, when we did
that would have been cool if you were that, but then at the final boss, when you guys were like level 11, Tim was like, "Oh wait,
Yeah,
I have this thing, shit!" And then like,
I was fucking sandbagging it so hard that it's useless.
yeah, and I just had to look at the stat block, and it's just he wouldn't have done anything, you know.
Like literally, like your action would be better spent like just like reviving another party member or anything because we're all better than them by now.
Yeah.
Because you fucking sandbagged for like, you know, a quarter of a goddamn year.
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to use it more than one. It wasn't like a consumable use once.
Yeah, that was the weird part. Like, I don't think you ever even said you can only do this once. I think you just said it can summon, and it seemed like because we've talked about this so many times, like you fucking love summons because summons are rad as shit.
Yeah,
everyone knows.
Yeah,
this is just a fact. Like, you know, so like I don't know. I think like. Somehow it was decided that Tim wouldn't use this or just forgot he had it.
Yeah, it was very like it was just, yeah, it was something. He was never used. I was like, he's going to be cool summons, and then, nah, he never used.
Yeah, and yeah, it was, yeah, but there you go.
But yeah, but if you make a dungeon, coming back to the actual track.
If you make a dungeon all about the item, they have to use it at least once.
Yes, at least once. Yeah, that's cool. I'd say, yeah, he would definitely use darkness because I think the darkness aura is kind of, you can kind of go and lean with the fact that he's a squid and he's doing the dark. It's like squid ink that's spitting out.
Yeah,
but it's magical darkness instead.
If you wanted to kind of like make it so that the boss wasn't using darkness, which is something that I think I would encourage, but you know, this isn't to discount the item idea, but a cool thing you could do is have like the Darkmantle Queen, like one of her attacks is that she like spawns 2 Darkmantles. You know what I mean? And then the Darkmantles that she spawns can use the normal abilities, so they can elect to use the darkness ability if it makes sense, and that will disrupt the party, but it will be like small bits of darkness from these creatures rather than like the queen doing a big darkness area that just means that nobody gets to fight. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of things what it can do that's not on the Darkmantle thing, because it would seem like a completely different monster, you know, that
so my suggestion would be that like kind of play with the idea of a boss room and make it so that the Queen Darkmantle is so big that she's embedded into the cavern roof. And so the giant columns that are her tentacles are the basically only way she fights you, and she just tries to pull people up into her mouth and swallow you whole. And, you know, maybe that takes 2 turns, like 1 turn to grab you, 1 turn to lift you up, maybe a 3rd turn to actually eat you. So like if a party member gets grabbed, they're in this cool like countdown where they have to like break out or they'll get eaten. And like while she's doing that, she has like, you know, tentacle sweeps, tentacle grabs. She can spit out dark mantles.
Yeah, and
maybe she can spit acid.
That's
Seems
cool.
thematic. That seems kind of fun and cool.
And you also have dark mantles all over the cavern ceiling. So but hopefully by then in the dungeon, your players will realize there's dark mantles all over this place, and there will definitely be them here in this place because the queen is here. But if one of them falls in your guys' heads, then that will make it easier for the dark mantle queen to pick you up and eat you, because there's one in your head already, and that's kind of making you go all mad and crazy.
That's true. You could have a simple rule of like, her grab ability, like even as sort of a balancing factor. You could deliberately say the grab ability has a kind of low to hit, but it gets advantage if there's already a dark mantle on you, because the dark mantle is kind of like signaling to the queen and makes it easier.
Yeah.
So
like an acid attack, give him a couple of tentacle hits, put the tentacles in different areas in the room. If we're going to go with the entire lair idea, some lair actions, then that's cool. Put some lair actions in there, like a tentacle hits you, or some legendary actions, like just more tentacle hits and something like that.
I'd say give the Dark Mantle Queen like less legendary actions, but lair actions as well. So maybe like 2 legendary actions, and the legendary actions are like tentacle sweep, acid spit. And then layer actions, and the layer actions are like summon a dark mantle.
Yeah.
Maybe drop rocks on an area.
Yes.
Like shake the whole cave.
Like shake cave, some rocks, maybe like a geyser or something happens during as well, where like some steam comes in and blinds one of your guys for like a round if he doesn't do the right DC or something.
Or you could have it so that like the tentacles are normally fixed in place, but one of the layer actions lets one of the tentacles move.
Yeah.
So they can kind of reposition during the battle, but it's a very like deliberate part of the battle. Like they can't reposition normally; they can only do it during the layer step.
Yeah. That's cool. That's a cool idea. I like this.
It is a pretty cool idea. Yeah.
It's a good idea for an adventure. The Dark Mantle Cave. Maybe the
cave fucking full of dark mantles.
Yeah, maybe the item you get in it is like a helmet. Where
I was actually thinking the same thing.
Like an anti-dark mantle helmet.
Yeah, it's a helmet with a big torch.
Yeah, and then you open up the chest like and then it's like 5 helmets for everyone in the party. Like, here you go, guys, fucking 5 helmets.
It's just like it's like a spiked World War I helmet. It's like hard counters the dark mantle.
Yeah, and then every time you can now wear this to fucking get rid of all the dark mantles that attacked you, and you can go through all the first areas in the dungeon now without getting attacked. Yeah, these guys are cool. If you're gonna go with that, like if I was, I would use them something like that. I guess just I didn't think I was gonna do a Zelda-esque dungeon.
There's fucking always time for a Zelda-ass dungeon, my dude.
There really is. I love that.
They're so cool.
Yeah.
Let's do our we've done our regular segment just a Zelda dungeon, so thank you very much.
That's very true.
Let's do our other regular segment, Monster Hunter My Monster.
Monster Hunter My Monster. I haven't played the new game yet. It came out on PC, but I just haven't had the money to get it yet. But
yeah, same.
I want to play. I don't even know if my PC can play it yet. Actually, I think it's kind of.
I'm sure it can. You've got a pretty good PC.
Hopefully, I'll look into that. Anyway, let's Monster.
I think we should make sure we buy it as a group, because I definitely want to play it together.
Definitely, I think Jack got it, and he's waiting for us to get it to play.
Oh, cool! Awesome. Okay, so we're talking shite again.
we are. So Dark Mantle. Let's Monster Hunter him up. What does he do?
Yeah.
So
he crushes heads, he does darkness, and he has dark vision. I think with a name like Dark Mantle and the fact that he sits on your head, a really obvious thing is that you get you turn him into a cape.
Yes. I was thinking a cape, or even like it'll make sense with a cape, I think. Maybe not armor, but you could do an armor or clothes in general, but some sort of stealth item you can use in caverns and in
that's cool.
rocks.
I like that.
What if you were doing some sort of like stealth mission in the Underdark or Shadowfell? And you're like, oh well, I can make up some capes with this, and then it kind of gives you advantage to stealth checks in the Underdark, advantage it might be with that. Maybe actually just gives you the false appearance thing if you kind of if you don't
Yeah,
move.
actually, yeah. It could just be like, if you're motionless, you can appear as like a stony substance.
Yes, yeah. And if you're
Yeah,
moving,
that's true.
you get advantage on stealth checks.
Yeah, so kind of like the Cloak of Elvenkind, but like cave.
Yeah, only for caves. It's
Yeah,
the Cape of Elvenkind for caves, and you get the false appearance if you're motionless. So that's a cool item.
Yeah.
Either a cape
is
or
cool,
just
yeah.
dark mantle clothes in general.
Yeah, I think like if you wanted to kind of do a like more like magic-y magic item, so like that's kind of very like butchery kind of like rough and ready solution, but you could also have it like if you had like maybe a wizard, then you could also have it so that like the cape gives you the echolocation of the Darkmantle,
Yeah,
and also gives you the darkness aura ability once a day.
yeah,
So you can make it dark, but you have the Darkmantle's blind sight, but with the echolocation tag, so that you can't just see in the dark. You have to rely on your hearing.
yeah. Or if you make it into a cape, you can take off your cape and throw it at enemies, and it does the crush action, so you can kind of immobilize a enemy for a bit if you want.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, that might
Yeah,
be.
you could have it be like it doesn't, strangle them because it's not alive, but it just grabs them.
Yeah.
And they're like, piss.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
kind of like just a little trap you can do, like, take this dark mantle cape, go, and then it's like, oh, kind of like your own dark mantle that you have as like a Pokemon or something, but it doesn't attack; it just immobilizes them. That's really it.
That would be cool, actually. Yeah.
It flies. Maybe you can do something with that. You can give yourself a flying speed, maybe not 30 feet, but if you make a cape of it, you can. The cape flies if a wizard got into it.
Get that wizard out of my cape. I really like. I sort of like. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of abilities here. So like it seems like, you could. So like you could get like I'm trying to like break it up into different items. So like I like the idea that you have to like pick which one you want to make maybe.
Yeah.
So like you could have like the Darkmantle helm, and the helmet gives you the echolocation and maybe lets you cast the spell. The cape gives you the stealth bonuses and lets you throw it to immobilize people.
Yeah.
And then maybe like something else. Maybe I'm just thinking because I said like umbrella earlier. Maybe if you use it as like a Mary Poppins umbrella, it gives you featherfall.
Yeah, or actually just gives you a fly speed. You can just fly with it. Like,
That'd be cool, yeah.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. That's cool. That's actually a good idea. Just make it into and also it shields you from the rain. The most important part.
I'll turn my trusty frying pan
into a drying pan. Yes, we all know that bit.
It's very good. It's very important.
Yeah, that's actually pretty much you got everything that the Darkmantle is in that.
Yep.
Yeah, we just said all the bits that he has.
We did everything.
Absolutely everything. Something really else to say on him there. All right. Closing thoughts on the Darkmantle.
If you kill the Darkmantle Queen and harvest her brain, you can turn it into a cool helmet that lets you walk through stone.
Good idea. That's cool. That's very cool.
Because you should get rewarded for monster hunting bosses too.
Yes, and also if you go into any more, I don't know why you would put more Darkmantle caves in there. Maybe it makes sense in world, but if you go into more Darkmantle caves, they don't want to attack you. You can kind of just walk through unfazed. And
like almost like a repulsion field.
Yes, that means like that kind of shows like yes, you've killed the Darkmantle Queen. You don't have to fight Darkmantles anymore. Well done.
You've solved my Darkmantle riddle.
Yeah, I think your press like enough Darkmantles, please, no more, please. That's cool.
Maybe you can even command them in caves and get them to attack your enemies.
No, that's very good. That's a good idea. I just love this Darkmantle Queen idea. I just love it's just very Zelda.
It's very cool.
I like him.
Yeah.
I might add that into my adventure list.
Into your sort of your bank of like cool shit you can whip out.
Yeah, like I have a list of cool Zelda-like adventures that we've come up with on this podcast that you know, we give to the player, we give to listeners, but you know, I take him as well. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's for us too.
that's true. I'm gonna put my book away because we're kind of at that time now
That's right.
where we can wrap up because we kind of mentioned everything about the Darkmantle. So yeah, Darkmantle. He's kind of spooky. He's scary, but if you kind of think outside the box with him, like we did in this show, you can come up with some very cool things about him. So
Yeah.
use our ideas or come up with your own. If you have any cool ideas for a Darkmantle yourself, please leave them in the comments on our website or send in an email and such. I think I might do up the wrap-up stuff. Shall I do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to Creature Club. I've been Mikey. This has been Dan. If you liked what you listened to, please subscribe on whatever podcast app you use. We are on a lot of them, so whatever. If you like us a lot, then if you want to recommend us to a friend or loved one, then go ahead, please. It's a cool thing to do when people do that. We talk about D&D monsters. We talk about D&D magic items. We talk about lots of stuff. So keep on listening if it's your first time, and if it isn't, but whatever. What else we got? We have a Gmail. Creature.
We have a website.
We got a Gmail. Hey, we'll listen to we'll get to the website in a sec.
No, yeah, any order you like. You're in charge.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, we got a Gmail. It's preacherclub@gmail.com. You can send us on questions, queries. We normally ask for homebrew monsters, homebrew items, homebrew classes, whatever you have that is homebrew, send them on to us. We would love to take them on. We have done a homebrew special where it's completely the listeners' creations sent in to us. So if you have one, and send it in to us, and we can put it into the next episode of the homebrew special. That would be great. We have a website where you can listen to our episodes. You can comment underneath creatureclubpodcast.com. And anything else, Daniel? Am I missing anything?
You can go on the contact us page on the Creature Club website and hit us up there if you'd bother on email. If you go on the website, you can also comment below the episode. Give us your thoughts on the Darkmantle, whether you've used them, whether you'd like to use the Queen, whether you think that's a bad boss idea and you have a better boss idea.
Please do that. Yeah, let us know if you're better than us or if you have a better ideas than us. Yeah, so if you have any better ideas than us, then send them on, please. That's why we do this show. We love it. We want to be inspired by you guys as much as we hope you are inspired by us. So, which is
exactly,
hopefully a little bit. That's all we want, really. Yeah.
And send on your good thoughts to Tim. You can literally send them on through the website, obviously, or whatever.
Yeah.
He's over in America. We sent our best and brightest, and he's married now, so we're very happy for him.
Yeah, so if ever can congratulate Tim on getting married, that'll be cool. If you want, you know, hopefully you won't get freaked out by that, but hopefully you enjoy that. We'll get him on the show as ASAP, but he's just trying to figure out being in a new country. Yeah. So let's give him some time if he needs it, you know. But Absolutely. We're going to keep on trucking with Creature Club anyway. So thanks for listening, guys. Join us next time for the Death Knight, which is actually kind of one of my favorite guys, to be honest with you. I really like the stat look.
Death Knight's very cool.
He's really cool. I'm looking forward to the episode. So hopefully you guys will enjoy too. I have been Mikey.
And I've been Dan.
Stay cool.